So, hello everyone again. I'm Annabelle Munson, and welcome to this special session of the Universal Weather and Aviation Ops webinar series. I'll be your host and moderator for today's deep dive, focused on unlocking and highlighting what's new and noteworthy in Feasibility IQ as we close out summer's crazy busy season and catch our breath for just a moment before the fall seasonal surge begins. And let's go ahead and set the stage. So, as we kicked off and mentioned, there have been a lot of enhancements since the last time we met back in March. So I'm going to tee up our product expert, Monica, to let her loose and share the latest and greatest with you. So keep in mind, we've intentionally set up the webinar to be very fast moving, highlight reel. But again, this whole session is recorded, so don't feel the need to furiously write down notes. You can review the whole session in its entirety when we send out the link tomorrow. And again, share it with any of your colleagues that you need to. Remember as well, your Universal Account Manager is a great resource for everything Feasibility IQ related. So if you've got one-on-one questions about how best to use it with your operation, always reach out to them. In addition, this is that time of year where, as I mentioned, we're kind of coming into that end of the summer surge, free fall excitement for the seasonal resurge there into we head straight into the holidays. It seems this is a good time to be examining things. This is a good time to look at Feasibility IQ. What else can you be using it for? How can you maximize it, improve your knowledge within it? And this is also, we see this not only with tools like Feasibility IQ and our other digital products, but even in our regulatory team, we have people coming in trying to shore up on their permits, making sure they're up to date for the next round of trips that are coming up for the fall. So it's just a good time of year to be examining it all. Hopefully this will be a part of that for you. All right, now let's go to the star of the show. I'd happy to introduce Monica Campos, senior member of our Feasibility IQ product development team, a seasoned trip support advisor and former team manager, and a certified general aviation aficionado all around. She's a first-hand expert on everything to do with this product since its inception, so perfectly geared to help you with today's presentation. We're looking forward to today's highlight reel, along with that spotlight on some of the newest features. So welcome back, Monica. It's great to have you with us. There you go. There she is on stage. Let's go ahead and get rolling. Monica, we should note for the audience that today's demo is mostly going to be on the online version of Feasibility IQ, but it's also really important to note that Feasibility IQ is now on all UVGo platforms, including both iPad and iPhone, and now we're going to hear a little bit more about those iPhone enhancements. But let's go ahead. Let's talk about that top Uber level for Feasibility IQ these days. I think that could help set the stage for both our new and experienced users on the call.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Annabelle, for that very unmerited, warm reception. Thank you so much. I am going to share my screen. Can everybody see my Feasibility IQ? Okay, as Annabelle mentioned, it has been quite some time since we have met, and there are a couple of things that I did want to mention before we even get underway with our demo. There are a couple things. You might have seen this for quite some time. This screen right here is a variable content region that we have incorporated to be able to give you overarching information, anything that's going to apply to an entire region or is going to be a worldwide information. We're going to keep that here front and center for you to be able to see. This is also where we're going to put anything that is a very important last minute information. So last year when the FAA did the ground stop for 3 hours, or when Russia invaded Ukraine and a lot of countries worldwide implemented sanctions against Russian operators, this is where we would have put that information. So we've implemented it for that reason, to be able to get important, high impacting information out there quickly. But I know that a lot of us get blind spots on our screens when we are in locations a lot of times or different websites very often. So I wanted to highlight that that is the purpose of that function there, so that you can keep it in your cross-check and make sure that you check it in case there's something important that might be in the news. Another thing that I wanted to mention as an overarching, just a big high-level thing, is that FIQ has now incorporated with BART scheduling software. So if you use BART, you can now go into FIQ through your BART, through your trip within BART. It has links within the quote pages, within the schedule pages at the trip level, and even at the leg level. So it'll pull in all of the information, much like it does from the missions dashboard within UVGo. If you're in BART and you want to see other functional feasibility aspects of your trip. You can pull all of that BART information into Feasibility-IQ and check all of those aspects from there. If you use a different scheduling software and you're interested in getting this incorporated with yours, let us know. We're always looking for more ideas, and we hear back from a lot of you on a certain software. We might be able to reach out and make those things happen. So definitely wanted to let you know that that's out there for BART and open the doors for anybody else who might be interested.
Sorry, Monica, I put myself on mute and I forgot. It happens to all of us. Thanks, Monica, for that intro. Let's go ahead to that demo format so that you can remind users of some of the best practices, kind of that tour, a very brief one. So that way it's best practices for everyone that's already using, highlight reel for newest users of some of that real key functionality, that core functionality within Feasibility-IQ. And then I know you're going to drop in some of the new enhancements as well.
Yes. So a lot of you have been with us for a demo before or one of these webinars. We've gone through an entire itinerary. This is the whole trip that we're doing. We wanted to take a little bit different tack this time. We wanted to look, what if you have a trip that's coming up very soon and you want to do some checks for that trip? And then you have, some ideas on something that might be going on down the line. So we know that our principal passenger has a trip coming up very soon to Milan. So we want to take a look at that. But we also know that he has plans or has in mind to go to Bali a little bit further down, maybe in the winter months. So let's just go ahead and we're in here now. We can take a look at that as well. A couple of things come up immediately that I want to point out. It gives you the very high level requirements, whether or not a landing permit is required, slot requirements, PPR, security rating. I also wanted to point out the major events banner that we have included. When there is a major event, it's going to probably affect the operations at that location. So we want to highlight it at every level that the Italian Grand Prix is coming to Milan. We don't want to change the information. We don't want to change the information within Feasibility-IQ for everybody because you may not be operating during the time of the Grand Prix, but we want to make sure that if you are operating during that time, you are aware and can go and have resources to be able to make your adjustments for that event. You can change your handler, change your far part. It is important that you include nationalities because if you do not, you will not have access to the health requirements or the entry requirements. Let's say we have a US passenger who's going to Milan and he's being accompanied by a Canadian business partner and also a French business partner. It goes either with the name of the country, not nationality, or the ISO code. And you can copy it to all locations, to one location. If you copy it all and maybe the same people are going minus our business partners, then you can do that as well and make it that much easier. Once you click on Get Info, it'll process your ICAOs, your nationalities, your handlers, and give you all of the information for every ICAO that you have selected. It'll give you the airport information. Within airport information, some of our most popular pieces of data is the parking information. What are the high traffic months? What are some locations that you can reposition the aircraft to? And even from the very top, whether or not they ever have parking shortages. So things to keep in mind as we make our plans and as we check those last minute things. Crowd pleasers are always crew and passenger logistics within the airport information gives you the recommended arrival time for the passengers and for the crew to arrive at the airport as you depart. So if they're going to a meeting and you want to know how soon or how long they can stay at their meeting before they have to be at the airport, you can give them that information. Or even let's say time at the beach or dinner with friends, whatever the case might be, it arms you with that information to set those expectations so that you seem like you know everything and you turn into the hero that we want everybody to be that uses these tools and who's in our industry. Another really useful and very popular feature is location trends. Location trends is a feature that we partnered with WingX to gather all of the traffic data to these airports. The very first one is types of aircraft operated. This one is hugely popular. Think giant report from the old military days. What aircraft have operated to this airport? If you're in a big plane and you're not sure if they've serviced an aircraft of your type or size before, we have it in a number of locations, but what better than, yes, 729 G5s have been to Milan in the last year. That you can't ask for better data than that. So if you're in the G5, you know you're covered, or any aircraft that you find here, they can accommodate you. Peak months and travel seasons takes the date range. You can go back as far as September 1st of 2021, but we have it defaulted to 12 rolling months to show what the traffic has been in those months. And you can see, depending on what month you're going in, if it's a very high traffic month or if it's one of the slower seasons. Again, set those expectations. We also have the peak times of the day or the week. This takes your date range, again, available until the first, back as far as the 1st of September of 2021. And it takes every Sunday within that date range, every Monday within that date range, every Tuesday, and it averages out the arrivals, the departures, or both together so you can see what the busiest days of the week are. And that way, again, set those expectations and be able to be armed with information as you speak with your principal to let them know what you should or shouldn't do. You can even click onto those bars and it tells you which hour of the day is the busiest hour of the day. So they can plan around it or just be aware as they operate during it. Again, information, trying to arm you to be the heroes. And the last one that we have is the tech stop time. The tech stop time is really interesting because it'll give you that timeline for how long you can expect the tech stop to take for your given aircraft at that location. And if you happen to see, you know what, it's a really long time, and I don't know that I want to be taking an hour and a half, what else is going on around? We'll look at airports within a 100 nautical mile radius and give you the averages of those times as well. So even if maybe you're already on the road and the day has already begun and you're just looking for a tech stop and you're looking for anywhere that you can shave off time because, you know, principals are never late to the plane. You never have to make up time anywhere. So you can use this tool to possibly, you know, maybe go to an alternate and see if at LIMP you can do a tech stop in 47 minutes instead of an hour and 3 minutes. Of course, you know, communication and getting that information back to the team so they can get those services prepared for you and everything. But information, right? Information for options and alternatives to be able to go back to the principal and say, maybe we can go to LIMP off the bat instead of LIML and plan it from the beginning. All things that can be used to arm you with information so that you can give to your stakeholders. More information available in FIQ. The handler information gives you all of the information for the handler that you've selected. Another favorite within the handler information is crew and PAX information. This gives you what you can expect once you hit the ground. So what's going to happen to the aircraft? Are they going to send it to the hazmat ramp? Are they going to send it to another remote ramp? Are they going to park you at the main terminal and then the taxi over to the FBO? Do you have to clear at the main terminal? Can you clear at the FBO? Is there any kind of handicap accessibility? This is one of my favorites. The passport handling. What's going to happen with a passport? Do you give it to the customs agent? Do you hold it for the handling agent? Or vice versa? Do you hold it for the customs agent, or can you give it to the handling agent? If you're in a remote location where you're unfamiliar and an unexpected, you know, is the customs agent going to come on board ununiformed and take your passport out of sight? And should you do that? That information has been provided by our top handlers at each location with the most throughput so that they have the best experience and information for you so that you can be aware going in. What are they going to do with the luggage? Do you have to pull it off the plane yourself, or is the handler going to help with that? Where do you send the passengers' transportation? And an address that you can give to the passengers' transportation so that they can arrive quickly and on time. And then the same information for the departure, what the screening procedure scene look like to go out, where to send the transportation to drop the passenger off, again, an address to give to that transportation. So we know that when the passengers are happy, you guys are happy. When you're happy, we are definitely happy. So we're looking for anything to arm you to give information to those passengers so that they are well prepared and you guys can be the heroes. In country information, we provide anything to do with the landing permit because this is location based. APIS information, any additional information. Restrictions, none for Bali, thank God. But we see in Italy, geopolitical restrictions is anything that has to do with a nationality. If there's any nationality that's restricted operating to that location, this is where you're going to find that information. Here we see that crew members, registries, operators, and passengers of Russian nationality do have a restriction against them going into Italy. can know that going in. So if there's a Russian friend coming or a Russian business partner, we have that information beforehand and we can make the appropriate, if possible, arrangements. Itinerary restrictions are the opposite. This is not nationality, rather this is where can you or can you not go, going to or coming from this location, or even overflying. We see that Libya and Italy don't get along. Don't go to Libya, don't come from Italy, and don't overfly Libya if you're going to Milan. Health requirements are still very much geared towards COVID requirements. Thank God that is lessening and lessening, but we do still include vaccinations, under vaccinations and all other health requirements that are required for that location. Zika, monkeypox, Ebola, still very real things, still very much among us. Yellow fever, that kind of information will be maintained within the vaccinations and other information within health requirements. Above Wing Services gives you information on hotels, catering, and transportation to give you any kind of resource that we can to make those arrangements even easier for you. Security is something that we have done in partnership with Crisis 24 as the experts in security. They give us information on city security, country security, and local intel. Local intel giving you emergency contact information, anything special about the culture that you may want to take into consideration. Should you use the ATM? Should you go into the bank? Are the exchange houses trustworthy? That kind of information, all from a security vantage point. Similarly, we've partnered with the experts in visas, Thematic, to include their information for crew as well as for passengers. And we see that if you have multiple nationalities, that'll be divided within the pages of whatever the nationality applies to give you the latest and greatest up-to-date visa information for that nationality. And then one of my favorite parts of the Thematic information is the country information, because they give you the currency, import and export regulations, the airport tax, should there be one, but my favorite, the customs section, where it gives you the limits for import, what to do with arms and ammunition if you are coming from or going to a hunting trip. You don't want anybody to end up in jail. What is permitted for export, and pets. If your passenger wants to bring his beloved dog, or he has a friend who just will not go anywhere without her cat, what do you do with those pets? Last thing we want is for them to be taken away at the airport. So this will give you a good place to gather that intel, to get that information, know what needs to be done. And even if you have any questions, it gives you a great starting point to make sure that those beloved friends of the family are safe and stay with their owners. The NOTAMs are split into COVID-19 NOTAMs, airport NOTAMs, and fur NOTAMs. And finally, we have Hot Topics, which speaks to any blog that Universal has created. So Regulatory Insight gives you insight into regulatory requirements and blogs that have been written to that end. Destination Insights have to do with events, seasons, just anything going on in that destination that we have gathered information on to make those things even more, make you knowledgeable and have information in your back pocket so you can, again, be the hero that we want everyone to be. That's
Got
very
it.
high level.
That's very high level, but also pretty comprehensive overall. So thanks for that update, Monica. Oh, I should say that overview and with some of the updates in it. But I love the fact that you're really focused on some of those best practices, because then I can really tell, as now we've done a few of these, and since last March, now I can tell where you're emphasizing with your users in those deep dives, because I can see exactly the things that you're highlighting. And I've heard over and over again that this is what they're talking about. So that's really neat to bring to the group. I have a kind of a unique one here. I had a user actually ask us a question, and I wanted to insert it here instead of waiting to the end, because we just talked about Europe, and I think this section you're in is actually is the section that could help them with this type of question. It's on the regulatory front. And speaking of Europe, since we were just in Milan, the perennial question around EU Lisa. We have a lot of this question. And do you have a place here in Feasibility-IQ where they can go for more info and the latest updates?
Yes, and perfect that we did use a European destination, because part of the European region, EU Lisa, we have our latest article on EU Lisa available here. You can click on the read more and it'll take you to our blog that has our latest update on EU Lisa. And I know I'm scrolling a little bit fast, but the reason that I want to do that is to show you not only all of the information that we have on Elisa, but also show that these articles are usually linked to the author and or the expert on the subject. So you can come here and learn the latest that we have. And if you still have questions and still have things that you want to talk through or want help to implement whatever it was that you learned about or that you saw, you can click on that Let's Talk, and that'll put you in this case in contact with Adam, who is our resident expert on all things EULISA. But that information is available within FIQ, being a regulatory issue, like you mentioned, Annabelle, within regulatory insights and in that region available for our users.
Got it. All right. Thank you for that. All right. So we've talked about the deep dives and everything that you've been highlighting for our users there. Let's also now focus on some of the really newest new, the newest of the new, and some of these really exciting ones. I know you wanted to pull these out specifically. So can we go through those in order?
Yes, I'm super excited. Can you tell? The Feasibility-IQ team has been hard at work. It's been quite a while since we've joined together. So lots of things have happened since the last time we were all together. And I wanted to make sure that I was able to share that with you all. Sorry, my throat gets a little froggy sometimes. Okay, so the very first one that I'm really excited to share is the ability to drag and drop. Historically, we've done these demos showing an itinerary in order, and our minds like to see things in the order that we're going to do them. Let's pretend this actually is a trip and we're going from Milan to Bali. And then after that, we're going to go to Hong Kong, and I put Easter Island first. We are going to go to Easter Island, but before we go to Easter Island, we want to go to Hong Kong. Not today, but historically, we've had to delete whatever we've added and then go back and put in what we wanted. Now we can put in whatever order we want. Pick, if we forgot, okay, you stick it on at the end and then you slide it into the order that you want it in, and it'll move everything around and give you your itinerary in the order that you have it. This has been for me, it seems like a small change, but it has just been so helpful to not have to delete a million things and have to go backwards to add them in the order that you want them. I didn't point out, I should have, that you still have to reintroduce your nationalities, but so much better than deleting and having to add back in. Another thing that we have added is the handler in the local time on every page. So no matter what page you end up on, it's going to give you that local time, so that if you are thinking of calling the handler and you look up and you notice it is 1:30 in the morning, this question can wait until tomorrow, just to give you that situational awareness and that presence of mind to know what time it is at the location that you're going to, or if your people are out there and you are just looking for what time it is, it's right there in Feasibility-IQ available for you. Another thing that we did update is the ability to see which handler you have within the information pages. Historically, you'd have to go back to the airport selection page and change the handler and then come back in and click on Get Info. Now you're able to change that information from within the actual pages so that you can see, the ground service equipment that they have and be able to just make educated decisions that way. It's just a time saver, so you don't have to go all the way back out and come back in. We've also added our universal experience time in permit acquisition. We've always given you this lead time here. This is the country lead time, the published lead time per the AIP. This is what the country says is their drop dead time to guarantee you their ability to get you a permit. The average time confirmed prior to operation is Universal's experience and how long before that operation we've received those permits. So if you receive a permit, or if you request a permit 2 weeks in advance and 5 days have passed and you haven't gotten your permit back, not to worry, because the average time prior to departure is 2 days. This is something to give you that peace of mind. So you automatically have an expectation set, okay, I know that I can, 2 days is the typical time frame. It also arms you with information to be able to educate your principals and your stakeholders if they get a little antsy, so that you can also give them that information as well from the beginning. And then one final thing that I did want to definitely mention, because it came from your ranks, is our change to NOTAMs filtering. So COVID-19 NOTAMs are COVID-19 NOTAMs because of their keywords. Not so much the case with airport and for NOTAMs. We default to include or to filter out any NOTAM that is not a showstopper. So we default to show the NOTAMs that includes the words closed, closing, not available, a strike, forbidden, industrial, social, anything that's going to shut things down. But you've said, you know what? I don't want to go somewhere else to look at all of the NOTAMs. I want to look at all of the NOTAMs right here. So we have given you a button at the top to toggle back and forth between the filtered NOTAMs and all NOTAMs. And we've also enabled it within the bar showing which keywords are used to display so that you can see all NOTAMs or the filtered NOTAMs as you see fit. So please, if you have great ideas like that, things that will benefit your fellow dispatchers and pilots, let us know. We will be happy to incorporate.
Okay. So I know that, well, here, and thank you for that, Monica, but I've been noticing and I've been remiss in pointing out Timothy here in the background is acting like the Wizard of Oz, and he is putting in these links to some of the knowledge base articles and other key links that can help give even more information about some of these enhancements. So with that in mind, I just wanted to make sure you're taking a look at the chat, even if you're not submitting questions. And then here's a little FYI as well. Please be submitting questions so that we can either answer them in line as we go or at the end of the session. So back to Monica. I hear there was another exciting new feature that was developed recently, again from user feedback, directly from user feedback, and that's geared towards saving even more time. Can you share more on that one?
Yes, absolutely. Can I share? I can share it all. I love it. One of the things that we kept hearing back, we have done quite a number of deep dives and conversations with you as operators to get information on how your whole operation functions. And one of the things that we heard time and time again has been that you do certain checks at certain intervals. There are certain aspects and certain data sets that you want to review at a certain time. And so we thought, how could we help enable that for you? And what we came up with was to create a custom report that would also affect the view in the Feasibility-IQ pages themselves. So if you know that 24 hours prior, you always want to check the general information, you can do just that. And I have already pre-created a template where I have all of the general information selected in the different sections, and it applies it to every ICAO that I have selected. I can change that by clicking on full view and picking a separate section and then adding that to my custom report. This is how you create it. You create it originally, even if you don't have any template existing, is the same way as when you update it. You click on custom report, it will give you the option to save as a selection. If you don't get this pop-up, it's because you have things selected in some locations that you don't have them in others. And we want to make sure that if you want it to be a part of the template, it's consistent throughout. So when you click on save selections as template, if you want to name it something new, you can to create a new template, or if you want to name it the same thing so that you can have that template be updated, or you're creating a template. When you click on, see, this time I'm creating an override. I'm adding to a template that already existed. This reminds me. So if I didn't intend to do this, I can go back and name it something else, or I can choose to override it. Now, when I acknowledge and I create the PDF and I go back in, that template is now available with the new information, including the crew and passenger logistics information that I chose to add to it. So you can look at full view, you can look at templatize, you can even clear the template and start all the way over. Again, a tool to give to you guys so that when you have those things that you check over and over again, or while you're on the road, you check your next location and you already know the different data sets that you want to make sure you zone into. You can use those templates and send them out, or you can review that information as seems best to you. One other function of the custom report templatization that we have, let's say you're out and you have a certain executive assistant who always asks for the same information. You already have a template created for that executive assistant because you know what they're going to ask. And you are not home and they say, hey, can you send me the information for this location? You have your iPad with you. This isn't available on iPhone just yet, you can't create reports there. But when you click on get report, you know that what that EA wants is the crew and passenger logistics, and you click on that template and it automatically sends that template, that report to your email so that you can disseminate it as you see fit. You didn't have to log all the way in. You have to look at a million things. You knew what you needed, got what you needed, and we kept you going on your way. Again, tools to make you look like the hero, like, oh my gosh, this person, they always have everything. That person has everything. They can give it all. Any tool that we can create to help you look that way, that's what we're looking for. So one final thing that I did also want to talk about is iPhone releases. So I did mention at the beginning that we added the custom little section there to iPhone. Last we met, Feasibility-IQ was already available in iPhone, but now we have everything in iPhone that is on the iPad. So we've added also the location trends, and we've added um, every informational aspect that is in Feasibility-IQ on the iPad is available on the iPhone. The one thing, like I mentioned a couple seconds ago, that we didn't add is the ability to create reports, because we just really don't anticipate that there will be a lot of report creation from the iPad. But this is where we learn from you. So if you find yourself needing reports on iPad often and just frustrated that, oh, I don't have it on, I'm sorry, not iPad, on iPhone often, and just frustrated that you can't get to it, please let us know that that's something that would make your life easier. But other than that, all information that is available on the iPad is available on the iPhone in the same way and the same functionality that you have it today.
Great. Thank you, Monica. And indeed, you and the development team have been very busy, to say the least. So, as part of that product enhancement activity, you're involved day to day with Feasibility IQ. You sit down with subscribers in those deep dives. You're talking with flight departments, like you just mentioned. Again, soliciting that feedback for the next set of enhancements. I bet as well, in addition to talking shop about the specifics, you get some good stories on what's working well for them. Can you share a couple of those with our audience?
I do, and we'd be here a while, some really, really funny stories. But the things that stick with me, the things that are the stuff that's really just the goal of Feasibility IQ is how much time it saves them. One operator was like, oh my gosh, you guys, it used to take me upwards of 6 hours to gather this information, and now I can do it in one. The ability to gather every airport together and have everything in one place and not have to maneuver between a number of different websites and compile and read through and curate, because we've done it for you. That really it speaks to my heart, because that's what we are in it for, day in and day out. Another similar aspect to that, another operator said that the dispatcher and the chief pilot get together to plan trips, and they go through everything with the dispatcher in FIQ, and the chief pilot kind of combing the web looking for information and comparing, seeing if they find things that are different, not to discredit anything, but just to make sure that they have all of the bits of information put together. And they found that they continue to find things similar. Everything that they found somewhere else was already in FIQ and vice versa. So it just has sped up their ability to process through trips, because it just increases that confidence in that information, and got them moving at a much faster clip, just saving time, which is really our main goal, to give you efficiency and to give you good, reliable information that you can take back to your principal and be that hero that I continue to talk about.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, Monica. As always, and we're going to let Monica catch her breath for just a second after all of that. So at this point, we want to move to some of your pre-submitted questions. I know we touched on one or two. I know we have the permit questions. I think we answered those during the EU LISA question. There have been some that we've been answering in line as we go. But there are a couple more that came in yesterday that I want to make sure that we address for sure, because they were repeated through a couple of different users and or subscribers. So let's get to those. So on this, let's start with one of our new users, or new potential users, asked about they're on a trial. Okay, I know. Sorry, I was looking for context. They're on a trial currently with Feasibility IQ, and they're looking for more information on the subscription cost.
The best person to work through to get subscription costs, or how much it'll cost you, or to get set up, or especially to go through the trial phase, is your account manager. Definitely reach out to them, and they will walk you through all of the details for subscribing and for the trial process. They're your best go-to.
Got it. Thank you for that. And then in addition, this is also for you, Monica, on the those deep dives that we've mentioned quite a few times, and how input gets back or feedback gets back into Feasibility IQ. Specifically, they're asking, so if I'm in the tool, how do I give feedback? Like I'm using it and I see something and I have a question about it, how do I provide feedback or want to ask, why is this like this? I need more, I'd like more insight, as well as they want to know, so how do I get my own deep dive with Monica?
We've got a few questions in there. Okay, so the first question, how do I give you feedback on something in particular that I saw within FIQ? So if you are, find my cursor, there we go. If you are in the information pages and you find something here that you just either don't think is right or you've seen differently or whatever the case might be, this little icon right here will give you access to be able to input whatever information it is that you want to update. And this goes directly to the team or department that maintains this particular information. So as you send this out, and I am going to submit it, and they're going to be like, what do I do with this, Monica? We'll send an email to the team that maintains this information, and they will make sure they look at it and get that updated as soon as possible.
Yeah.
If you find something within Feasibility IQ that more like there's something that you would like added, or there's something that would help you if it was either organized a different way or if it's just something that's not there right now, the best person to contact is again that account manager, because that account manager can get the information to the Feasibility IQ team to make sure that we put it on our roadmap and can work it in with the other things that we're working on. So if you have a major idea, the account manager is definitely the way to go. And then the third question was, how do I get in on a deep dive? I would love it. I would love it. Again, let your account manager know, and that person can get in touch with us to set something up so that we can sit down with you. And like I mentioned before, the more the merrier. It doesn't have to be just you because you're the one with a Feasibility IQ subscription or the one who wants a Feasibility IQ subscription. Bring the dispatcher, the chief pilot, one of the line pilots, anybody who can come in to give us insight into your whole operation so that we can look at what we have available as well as what we can create to make sure that we give you tools that are making your operation that much more successful. We would love it. So please, if you would like to participate in a deep dive, let your account manager know, and we will be sure to set something up.
Right. That sounds like a plan. Thank you, Monica. So I'm going to pause here for a moment to check in with Timothy and see if there's anything from our chat that hasn't been already answered in line in the chat. I know you guys have been busy. I've been seeing the chat flow, but in addition, if there's anything that we already answered in the chat but might be helpful to highlight for the whole audience, just let us know. But Timothy, anything in the chat or from the chat that we need to touch on?
I think a really good question was for the location trend data. If all the flights are just for universal managed flights or if it's all flights from the airport. And Justin replied to that. It is market data and represents all movements, not just those from Universal. So that intel is for all different types of providers and planes and services.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Anything else?
We also had a question about the tech stop times, if that time on stand or the time from wheels down or wheels up. And those averages are wheels down to wheels up. So just a little bit more detail on those tech stop times inside location trends.
Got it. Okay, thank you. And any others that we need to highlight?
No, I think everything else was answered pretty clearly in the chat.
Great. Well, last minute, but as I wrap up, for everyone that's still online with us, if there's anything else that you want to ask the team, now is your chance. We'll give it a few seconds while we wrap things up. So most importantly, right now, I want to thank Monica, of course, and Justin and Timothy, all in the background, for their time today to help bring this highlight reel to you. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. And I know it went fast. So like I mentioned, this recording is going to be available in its entirety, as they say. We'll have the link in tomorrow's ops update email, so look for that in your inbox tomorrow morning. Also, some other final things. If you are a trial user or you're still considering, I guess I should say, you're on the trial, you don't need the trial link. But if you are very new to Feasibility-IQ and considering how it plays a role in your flight department, Timothy's dropping the 30-day trial link into the chat for you. And then as well, definitely discuss with your Universal account manager if they're, for more information about how the tool best works for your flight department and what the pricing is like. So, in addition, I also want to make sure you have me as a resource. So if there's anything about this format that we can improve, we're looking to build as much user community as possible around Feasibility-IQ. So drop us an email at operationalinsight@univway.com. Timothy, if you'll put that email in the chat as well. So really about how and what are even better ways or new ways we can highlight these tools and enhancements for you to make your life with Feasibility-IQ even better. So I appreciate that. Finally, I want to let you know that I will be, as well as I believe Monica and Justin will be with us at NBAA Base in Las Vegas in just a few weeks coming up. So if you're going to be there, definitely make plans to come and stop by, see Universal Weather and Aviation there. I think we're booth C8709. That does not roll off the tongue, so I hope I got that right. But most importantly, you'll find us in the directory, but the best thing is please stop by and see us. You can meet Justin and Monica in person if you haven't already, and give us your feedback in person, which is the absolute best. So looking forward to that. So take care, everyone. Timothy, let me check back with you before I sign off. Anything else pop into the chat in case we need to highlight it?
We just had one question about visa requirements, but it looks like Justin answered it. That is inside the entry requirements section inside Feasibility-IQ for each airport. So you can access it quite easily. You don't have to reach out to Adam. We love Adam, but he's got enough on his plate.
Exactly. If it's already there, let's go there first. But every now and then bothering Adam is always a little fun. Well, thank you all. Again, thank you, Monica, Timothy, and Justin for sharing your time and talents with everybody. And like I said, please reach out to us directly at operationalinsight@univway.com with any improvements or ideas you have for how we can improve our webinar series, both operations-wise and for the Feasibility-IQ tool. A pleasure having you all. It's great to see you. Hope to see some of you in Las Vegas. And bye for now. Take care.